Hi, everybody. My name is Nanika Edwards. I am a poet, author, linguist, artist, and educator from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Today, I am continuing with my discussion on marriage. Today's topic: avoid adultery. Adultery, perhaps the most common home wrecker. I experienced this firsthand. Why? Because my father cheated many times over and made a mess of many lives. I'll speak for my own life, and I hope that it would be a deterrent to anyone considering the cheap thrills path of cheating. My father never turned up for any of my high school sports days. This broke my heart, though not my spirit, because I was an outstanding athlete in my day, and every event that I dominated or did well in was a daddy, you'd be so proud of me moment that he missed. While I watched other girls being cheered on or congratulated by their proud parents. That cut very deep. Something else that I experienced, my father walked out on the very same day as one of my teen birthdays. I forget which one. What kind of monster do I have as a father? That's what the teen me had to agonize over. My father spent most of his money on his outside women and their kids, and treated his own family like vagrants that he didn't really know or want to know. Now, he did pay for much of my undergrad degree, but I helped him hugely by winning scholarship after scholarship that also took me to master's level, almost totally independently of his financial support. Still, quite sadly, my father, sometimes tried to make me feel that I owed him a debt of gratitude for funding some portions of my education. Um, I don't have any recollection of my father thanking me for saving him really a heavier financial burden, if I could put it like that. Although, I mean, a loving parent wouldn't call it a financial burden, but I felt like financing my education was a burden to my father. And I don't think I don't remember him saying thank you that I won all of these scholarships and saved him tons of money. So I don't know. That when I look back, that's something that I think could have played out differently. Anyway, of course, the fact that he neglected many of our basic needs, I mean, my family's basic needs, even though he was very well to do, meant that his family, my mom and two sisters, resented him deeply for a significant season of time. I mean, who wouldn't have? No parent or few parents, no matter how far gone, really want or wants their own kids to hate them. So, if you are contemplating adultery, if you feel dissatisfied with your marriage and you're thinking of exploring beyond the safe boundaries of your domestic space and your marital vows, I would encourage you to think again. I understand that there are complex reasons why people commit adultery. I understand that. But I can promise you that the reward or the thrill, the excitement of an escapade, um, of an escapade that takes you outside of the faithfulness that you vowed to, the loyalty that you vowed before God and your friends and your family, the kind the you know if you're going to go beyond that commitment that you made publicly to your spouse, to play the fool, as we say in Trinidad, with somebody who, you know, is happy to tear your family apart and leave you with nothing but regret, I wouldn't encourage you to do that. You're gonna regret that for a long time if you have any kind of conscience. And even if you don't, I can guarantee you're gonna suffer in some way at some point, whether in this life or the next. I would not recommend it. Um, Now, as an adult, I have hindsight perspective of the many things that our father robbed us of, or of how his selfishness endangered the ones who loved him the most. You know, me and my family. I mean, my mom and us, his kids. God is good and has brought me a long way. But it's always a sad thing when someone flings their precious gemstone of a life on the ash heap of folly and philandering, or the folly of philandering. And it's my life, and I can do what I want. Okay, this list could be endless. It could have been endless, but it gives you some idea, even if just an inkling, of the kind of upstream and downstream trauma that adultery can cause to anyone connected to the adulterer. And also, as you're going to see, to the adulterer, him or herself. By the way, and this is important to keep in mind. By the way, my father died a very depressed and shame-filled man. Everything that he did came back to bite him like a viper. Did and do I love him? Of course, he actually was not all bad, but he helped me to understand that while adultery is an inexcusably selfish act, it can have many complex engines, as I was saying before. I don't think adultery is always cut and dry. Sometimes it's just pure stupidity or um, pure selfishness. But sometimes it could be some real factors that somebody may feel is pushing and shoving them in that direction. As I'm going to get into further in this series of discussions. Anyways, I wish that my father had done things God's ways. If he had, I firmly believe that he would have been granted a longer and fuller life. He might have been alive today. I believe that he died prematurely. And, that's a whole other story. Maybe one day I'll share it, but, I think I've shared enough. I don't believe in always putting all my personal business out there, but, for the sake of saving people heartache and heartbreak and grief and things that you can avoid, I'm sharing a portion of my life, of the personal side of my life. People, no tale of adultery is a happy one. Don't even bother to put your littlest toe on that path. Note, if I remember correctly, I wrote the poem that I'm about to share with you, and I'm just going to share an excerpt, not long before I discovered that my father was cheating on my mother. That was the second year of high school. Second year of high school, I went to SAGS. And by the way, I want to take this opportunity to say to my fellow brothers and sisters who are Trinies, sometimes you look at somebody like me, you may look at how I'm dressed, or you may listen to how I speak. You think, listen to her accent. She must have grown up with a silver spoon in her mouth and all these kinds of things. Um, you know, so often I've had to deal with envy just for very frivolous reasons on the part of people who envy me. They hear a little accent, they get vexed. They think I had unfair advantages in life that they should have had. But let me just tell you, I hope that me sharing this story of some of the things that I encountered, that I have had to walk through. And by the way, this was what I've shared here today was the tip of the iceberg. If I were ever to share with people all the stuff that I went through, your jaw would drop. My fellow Trini brothers and sisters, don't judge, discern. That's one of my personal proverbs that I came up with. Don't judge, discern. And when you don't know people, don't be quick to get envious. As a matter of fact, whether you know people well or not, don't get envious because you don't know what people have gone through. You don't know how hard people have worked to have what they have. And if you don't want to go through the same things and pay the same price, then, sorry, I'm going to turn Trini on you. Just hush up and stay in your crease because you're out of place. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go big and bad on you, but this is something that bothers me and upsets me, and I just thought I would take this opportunity to share that perspective. Anyway, yeah, I went off script there. I forgot the poem. My apologies. Let me share it with you in my passion and the excitement of just getting off of my chest the things that really annoy me sometimes. I forgot the poem, but this is it. It's called Beauty. It was written when I was in Form 2. As I mentioned, it was written before I discovered, and I was the one who discovered what my father was up to. I mean, my mother would have known, but I have two older siblings, and I was the first of the siblings to realize that something was not right and so on, that my father was cheating. And of course, I mean, that will break any child's heart, especially if you adore the parent who is misbehaving. And misbehaving is putting it mildly. But anyway, the name of the poem is Beauty. And I believe this is the first stanza or the second stanza. I'm not too sure, but it's one of the stanzas in the poem. I don't know. I think back then I looked at a lot of Knots Landing and Dallas and that kind of thing, right? If you're wondering how somebody in Form 2 could be writing something like this. Anyway, here's a portion of that poem. Beauty, by yours truly, Nanika Edwards. Her eyes were black like pits from hell. Around all men she'd weave a spell, entangled in her black, black hair. They were like rabbits in a snare. Her lips were red, and oh so fine. She was evilly divine. So that's a portion of that poem. It features in my book the Trinbago, no, not the Trinbago, is it the Trinbago collection? Yes, the Trinbago collection. The Trinbago collection 1985 to 2001. That would be the date for that particular book. It's available on Amazon. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this very frank discussion. Feel free to share your comments or share your stories in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, thank you for giving it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get notifications when new content is shared, then please subscribe. Until next time.